minutes ago on the way to Parliament, kicking off what would be the national days of mourning, the final days of the state funeral of former President Mwai Kibaki. Those are live pictures coming to you live here on NTV, the body of the late President Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki, whose the body is leaving the funeral home right now on its way to Parliament, where we expect, starting from 9:30 this morning, President Uhuru Kenyatta will lead the nation into the state funeral of the late president. We do expect two things to happen this morning from Parliament. One, according to notification of a special sitting that was published today, procedural notification to the assembled House with respect to the presidential proclamation of the 22nd of April 2022 regarding the demise of the third president of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Honorable Emilio Mwai Kibaki, CGH, and the exceptional motion on honor and tributes of to the House to the late third president of the Republic of Kenya, His Excellency Emilio Mwai Kibaki, CGH, following presidential proclamation of the 22nd of April 2022 regarding his demise. Those is what we expect, but as you can see, those are pictures. Full military honors there, led by colonels and the brigadier who would make sure that the body of the former head of state starts lying in state starting this morning. We will having this coverage for you in studio with me. I do have two veteran journalists joined by the third. I do have Kale Patemi, who's a veteran journalist. I do also have Josephine Karani, a veteran journalist. Lady Gent, karibu sana to this broadcast. Talk to me a little on what's happening. What do you expect? Of course, today we do expect, you know, the full military honors. We would see the state, as it were, you know, making sure that the former head of state, in his final journey, if you like, is given proper and due process. Caleb.
This is the third time it's happened in Kenya, after 78 of Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, 2020 of Daniel Arap Moi. It's the third time we are going to lay to rest head of state. So it's only procedural that the body goes back to the House, August House, which is the foundation of leadership, and that the country mourns him the way it's supposed to, and give him the last respect that he deserves. So we're going to see lots of emotions. At least leaders will have a chance to pay the last respect, and Kenyans to say what they need to say before the man eventually will allow him to join his forebearers.
Right.
Yes.
It's finally laid to rest. Josephine.
Thank you so much. Yes, we've just come out of COVID, and I just thought about it when I heard that the third president had passed on. And I said, wow, what was going to happen if we still had COVID? At least we thank God that there is an opportunity for Kenyans again to file past the third president who ruled this country and pay last respects to him. We're looking forward to a busy week, a somber week, where Kenyans have been celebrating the former president and paying last respects to him.
Right, so the pictures you're watching live on your screens right now is the procession from the Lee Funeral Home, the pallbearers, military colonels there taking over the procession. It's going to go this way up to Parliament, where we do expect President Uhuru Kenyatta at around 9:30 this morning to lead the nation in this the final journey for former President Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. We do expect, of course, full military honors. Yes. As you understand, this is the third time this is happening. As a head of state, former head of state, the military is in charge of this process. There's the lying state for the head of state 3 days, so the public would have enough time to go to Parliament and pay their last respects, if you like.
Yeah, It is actually a military occasion. They've been in charge of every single process, time management, but as soon as the body lays down and they allow the public to pass by, then for the 3 days, and hopefully 3 nights, we'll allow men and women and children to pass by and say goodbye to Mwai Kibaki. And based on what happened 2 years ago, when Mwai left us, we expect lots of emotions. Because when somebody has been around for 90 years, 91 years, and has been your leader for over 40 years, there's a lot that we need to see and say about him.
Right.
Yeah, so it will be interesting, it will be colorful, it will be painful, it will be emotional. It will also be interesting.
There's a lot to talk about his life and times.
Yes.
You know, if we could just go to run that, Josephine.
Yes, I have very fond memories of the late president, and especially when he dissolved cabinet. I was just thinking last night, it was
This
quite
is in 2005.
Yes, it was something which I said, hey, what's going to happen now? Nobody knew what that meant, but of course, he looked up at the Constitution, and it was right for him to do what he did. But he made some decisions which really were fresh and were like, wow, this can happen. I never in my ever thought that you can dissolve a cabinet. But well, that happened. I remember him with the primary education, free primary education. I remember him for extending retirement age to 60 years for public servants. There are some milestones that he set that have stood for the period of time. And of course, just like Caleb said, this is a man who Kenyans are going to celebrate this week and the days to come. He's being brought home to Parliament, where he served for many years. And yes, I think this occasion has brought Kenyans back away from the hush-hush of campaigns and all, and we have come back as Kenyans to celebrate one of our own who has left us.
All right, and we in fact now joined by none other than Macharia Gaido, also joined us, another veteran journalist. The pictures you're watching there, obviously some very, very important shots of that casket that, you know, draped in a national flag, the body of the former president there, making its way to Parliament. Macharia, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. You know, when you think about Kibaki, I think you think about a man who was at the right place at the right time. Because really, after 40 years of Kanu's rule, after 20 plus years of Moi's rule or misrule, it was a big transition, and there needed to be the right person who can guide that transition, because it would have been very easy for Kenya to descend into chaos or something else. And here you have this person who was already experienced in government, but he also set up a government machinery that was really a mix of the old and the new. He brought in the technocrats he knew from his days as vice president and finance minister. But I think the majority of people were people who had come in through opposition ranks. He brought in civil society. It was a very good mix. And it is unfortunate, however, that in his first year in office, he was not very well. Apart from the car accident, which just before the elections, there was a stroke he suffered, which was never talked about, but it left him rather indisposed.
It was never reported.
It was never reported. And I think a lot of people took advantage of that. But even in that period, he managed to set up government systems that could work in his absence. He was not like Moi. He gave ministers the leeway to do their jobs. And a lot of what he set out to accomplish, he did. particularly in terms of the economy and even re-establishing systems, getting things working again, and of course the infrastructure investment. But of course, he was a human being. He had his failings. We can't gloss over that. And it is unfortunate, but sometimes one failing can mask 100 good things. And I think that is why there will be so much divided opinion about Kibaki's legacy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just the question of the legacy and the transition. A bit before Amasharia speaks about the transition from the KANU 40 years, KANU, then 2002, 2003, this transition happens. And there's a lot to be said in between that 1 year of President Mwai handing over power and President Kibaki taking over, and him almost being absent, and the political sort of squabble, starts at that moment that goes on up to 2007, right? That sort of marks is the first time that is full of politics, but also a lot of government work happening at that time as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, as Mashira says, there's the good, the bad, and the ugly of Kibaki. When he took over power, he was indisposed. And the people that you talk to, those who are close to him, say that the mafia, they call them the Mount Kenya mafia, took control. They took advantage of the situation and actually elbowed out the people that he had been working with in the NAC coalition. So there began the problem. So he had a powerful government machinery. A civil service was empowered, and I'm going to talk about that later on, because I was actually a civil servant during that period. So the civil service is what saved the country from collapse. But the political
system in itself,
was chaotic.
Yeah.
So that one helped us. If the civil service had collapsed, then things would have gone out of control.
Right.
But the mafia took charge, everybody else out, and then they now blotted. They actually smeared a very good legacy of what the man would have left behind.
Okay. The pictures you're watching right now on the screen is the procession making its way to Parliament. And on the other side of the screen, we do have the shot that's in Parliament. My colleague, Kennedy Muredi, is in fact standing by in Parliament. Kennedy, if you can hear us, we're just talking around the legacy, the man and his times, his life and times. What do you expect in Parliament once the body arrives?
Well, a very good morning to you there in Studio James Martin. Quite an interesting conversation you're having. And this road, this is Parliament Road as it can be shown right now. And it has been cleared for the purposes of what will be coming to happen. And the body will be coming from this side where it used to be the Intercontinental Hotel. And it will come and go in through the Senate gate, where we do know, or we do expect that already there is a team of military officers that are there to receive the body, and it will be given. Remember, President Uhuru Kenyatta said that he will be given a state funeral, and just here in Parliament, the body will be lying in state, and I can see some of my colleagues on top of a vehicle. That means that within the next few minutes, the body should be arriving here. And remember, it will not be official, or it will not be open for viewing until that time when President Uhuru Kenyatta will come and receive the body officially. But what we can see is that there is a lot and heavy police presence that has been here from about 5 o'clock in the morning, when some of the military officers were able to go to the Lee Funeral Home, and they were able to receive that and my colleague Leila Mohammed was there with them at that particular time. But what we are seeing right now is that there is a heavy presence of police controlling everything. But another factor, James Smart, is that we have not yet seen Kenyans coming to there. We have not seen yet Kenyans come here to line up for this particular thing. So we are expecting that any time from now something will be happening, and there have been changes, and they're expecting that the body will be coming through the Parliament side, the National Assembly side, before it drives all the way and comes into the Senate gate, the official gate that is here. And already we have been waiting. And what do we expect, James Smart, is that once that body comes in, that when the president receives the body, then Kenyans will be given an opportunity to come in and view the body as it will be lying in state for the next 3 days. What we saw, this is something similar to 2020 when President Mwai, Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, died, and his body was brought here. And what we could see at that time is that there was that Kenyans used to come from around 6 o'clock in the morning, and the body then would be lying here until around 5 o'clock in the evening. Then after 5 o'clock, the body goes back to the funeral home for the next day. And yes, that is the vehicle, and that is the vehicle that is carrying the remains of President Mwai Kibaki, and it is here coming all the way, and it is arriving here at the Parliament building. As my camera person Adrams Mulama will be able to show, is that is the body as it is arriving. It is a full military. I can even see the military vehicles. It is a full military function. Everything is happening as precision, and it had already been planned that this is what will be happening. And we can even see the presidential team that is with the body. We can even see the military outriders. These ones are not the police outriders, as it happens with the presidential motorcade. This is the military police that are the ones who are doing this, and they have taken over. Even the police officers, the regular police officers, have been pushed to the periphery, and everything that is happening is being controlled by military. Remember, also the military have their own police, and those are the people that have taken over. The police officers have been pushed to the periphery, and that is the body arriving here at Parliament. Probably I'll give you time so that we can listen to the natural sound and see what is happening here at the Parliament building.
Aya, is a great record.